Alan, you have been described by your enemies as evil, insane, manipulative. Who are you?
Call the Alan Cox Show. 216-578-1007 or 1-800-348-1007.
Well, I'm not uptight, not unattractive. Turn me on tonight, 'cause I'm a radioactive.
Cavaliers play tonight. They are in New Orleans to play the Pelicans. That's an 8 o'clock tip here on MMS and on the iHeartRadio app. Your pregame, all your coverage starts around 7:30 tonight. A little throwback mid-'80s British super group called The Firm. Jimmy Page and Paul Rodgers. Jimmy Page he was fresh off Led Zeppelin breaking up. Paul Rodgers was fresh off Bad Company breaking up. They were both looking for something new to do, and they recruited a couple of other dudes. And they put together a little supergroup called The Firm. And they had a handful of songs on MTV in the mid-'80s. And then they split up and went back to their respective bands. But Radioactive was the big hit that they had on MTV at the time. I know how much Mary loves that 80s sound, too.
That was my favorite.
They had Chris Slade behind the drums. He was the bald guy playing for AC/DC for a long time. They had Tony Franklin playing the bass. I love The Firm, boy. Mid-'80s, that was solid stuff. Solid. Anyway, it made me think of this song because I was reading about a candy company in Japan. And I only mention this because you never know where things are coming from anymore. You know, when you order things on Amazon or on any number of other retail apps or retail sites, you never really know where anything is coming from. And there's a Japanese candy company that discovered that an export shipment of candy was radioactive, that it had small amounts of cesium in it. So imagine you just, because it happens all the time, now you can get anything you want from anywhere you want. And so you get on, you're like, oh, I had this wild Japanese candy one time. I wonder if I could find that. And then you go on and you find it, but you don't necessarily know where it's coming from. When we went home for Thanksgiving, there's before we got out of the city, there's a shop called Hello Tokyo outside Chicago. And it's just in a strip mall. It's pretty nondescript, but it's this massive, massive store full of nothing but Japanese items. So there's weird candy and drinks and things like that, and all the way down to mundane, everyday items. You want a curtain rod that's labeled in Japanese, they're going to have them there for you. So it's a combination of tourists and then people in the local Asian community who go there to shop. And with the candy, you never quite know what you're going to get. But this company determined that they had radioactive material in their candy. And so they've had to figure some different plans out. Over here, every article that you read is about how we all have microplastics in our body now because those materials have been breaking down for a while. It's in the water. It's in the food. There seems to be nothing, if you can take them at their word, seems to be nothing anymore that does not involve us ingesting microplastics. Now, it's the macroplastics that I have a problem with. If I get a tuna fish sandwich and there's part of like a Honda Civic bumper in there, I march right back up to that counter and I file a complaint. I said, I've got macroplastics in my sandwich.
And they're like, wait, is this what you're going to do?
I'm sorry?
No, those are macroplastics. Akron, Wild Oscars this Saturday. BillSquire.com.
There you go. Not macroplastics, because it was fish.
Yeah.
No, the guy goes, well, I drive a Subaru, so that's not mine. I said, I think you're missing the point. There's part of a bumper in my sandwich. Now, of course, I'll pull back the curtain. That never happened. I never got a sandwich that had a piece of a bumper in it. But you can bet that if I did, I would march right back up and I would file a complaint. We went to Chipotle last night. I haven't had Chipotle in a long time. A long time.
Did you get the new chicken
A
al pastor?
long time I haven't had
Did you
Chipotle.
get the new chicken al pastor?
A long time
Is
it's
that
been
even
since
new?
we've...
Yes, they brought it back. The wait is over, Bill. Chicken al pastor is back at Chipotle.
But how's it new if it's back?
It's back.
Okay.
It's new
You said
today.
it's new.
Mary,
It's
you'll be
new
happy
as
to
of
know that is exactly what I got.
Did you love it?
I loved it.
It's pretty good.
I got the chicken al pastor bowl.
Did you know that it's made with a blend of Mexican spices, including achiote and morita peppers?
You had me at achiote and morita.
I knew I did.
Named after, of course,
Gesundheit.
famed stand-up comedian and Mr. Miyagi actor Pat Morita. He got his own pepper.
Oscar nominated.
Pat Morita was Oscar nominated
For
the
Karate
movie with Jay
Kid.
Leno?
No, for Karate Kid.
Oh,
No,
was he
not-
really?
Not The Getaway.
Ah. Right. Right. But, of course, he was a very accomplished stand-up. He was a nightclub comedian before that. And all of his jokes were like, making fun of being Japanese because that's what you did back then, right? Red Fox would take you out on tour, and then you would make fun of yourself in a tuxedo, but he was quite accomplished. But we went, we were kind of rolling the dice last night. We were like, well, let's get Chipotle. We haven't had that in a while. And then our daughter wanted to eat in there. And so we're like, okay. And I went right for that al pastor bowl.
I haven't had Chipotle in a while. I haven't eaten in a Chipotle, and I don't know, maybe 12 years. I can't remember. Eating in a Chipotle seems like a crazy thing to do these days.
Oh, I don't think I've ever eaten in a Chipotle.
That
I
was
mean,
your
if I
first
had,
time?
I do not recall. Maybe when we first
Your
moved
daughter
here.
loved it, though. She's like, I like metal to be around me.
She's,
I like metal and hard concrete floors. Oh.
Well, she's a big fan of brutalist architecture. So, yeah, she was right in there. No, I think when we first moved to Northeast Ohio and lived in Tremont, I think I might have eaten inside the Steel Yard Chipotle. But if I've done it since then, I don't recall. But, out where we are, it's just us and a bunch of high school kids looking for a place to hang out and eat and make noise. So that's all that is. But it was fine. It was good.
Brian's daughter always wants to eat inside Chipotle, too.
Why
Well, if
is
it's a little
that? Because you
kid
feel
thing.
like you're out of the house and doing something?
I think maybe the Chipotle and Berea is right next to Subway. So the other day they got
Is there
Chipotle.
a play place?
No, the other day they got Chipotle and I got Subway, and she was really upset that we couldn't eat inside of the Chipotle, and I was like, I can't eat another restaurant's food in here. Like I can't just sit down
I
with
see,
my
yeah.
Subway. But yeah, she's like, and she also like whenever we get any type of fast food, she wants like McDonald's, Taco Bell, anything. She's like, I want to eat inside. I'm like, who wants to hang out at a McDonald's?
Well, you're a little kid, right? But also, aren't a lot of those dining rooms still closed?
No,
Oh, really?
Oh.
there's just never anybody in them.
Ah. Well, because for a long time after COVID, they took their sweet time reopening those. And then when you go in, it's just a kiosk anyway. The people, they're going to bring you the food, but you don't even talk to a person anymore. You just punch it all in, walk up, get it. But I didn't realize that those dining rooms are even open anymore. But even they've removed the playthings, right? The plastic balls are gone.
The
They don't have
plastic
that
balls
anymore,
been
right?
Gone since like 1984.
No.
Yeah.
No. What?
The plastic.
But didn't they still
the
have
balls
slide?
have been gone.
They still have slides and crap.
In some of them, yeah.
There's
the-
one out by me that's got
and
the slides.
The
and
one
stuff.
in Avon does, because that's where I tried the Shamrock Shake iced coffee, and they had a play place there. And I haven't seen a play place in a McDonald's in a minute.
And so, how do you get
What do you
out of
do?
that, Mary? Because you're gonna make something up. You're gonna go, oh no, they're treating the staff in there for chemical burns, and we don't want to go in there.
No, we just go no.
Oh.
We're gonna eat this at home.
It's more. I think it'd be more fun to weave a tale.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Or a lot of the times we will say places are closed.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the inside's closed. There's people in there. They're working.
They're
Sorry,
children.
the inside is
and
closed. Yep,
Missouri's getting its way.
that's right. Don't walk in there, or they'll slap a mop in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You look old enough. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean. That's their motto. So if you have recently, or again, I don't know the name of this company, but if you have recently ordered Japanese candy and you want it to be super authentic, and so you're getting it right from the source. I don't know what you need for that. Iodine pills or something. I don't know. Fukuyama, Japan, they had a cat that fell into a chemical tank, and then they saw it walking around on the security cam. So you would think that maybe an animal would die if it fell into something like that, but not only did they find yellow-brown paw prints leading away from the tank, they saw the cat walk away on surveillance video. So now this town is telling people, hey, there's a cat that fell into a tank of toxic chemicals, like a Joker cat.
Ooh.
I don't know if it came out with, a weird face or whatever, but they're telling people in this town, they're like, hey, don't go anywhere near this cat if you see it. And I just love the notion of a radioactive. Yeah.
In the pale moonlight.
I like the notion of a radioactive cat roaming the countryside in Fukuyama, Japan. And people just staying away from it. Because if it didn't die immediately in the tank, it's probably slowly dying as it walks around.
Or it's becoming gigantic.
Yeah.
It's going to be Godzilla
like a toxic
cat.
adventure, Toxic Avenger thing with a
Mutating
cat.
its blood.
Godzilla cat.
So it's
Cat.
walking around. The cat's whereabouts are unknown.
Our cats are starting to meet. They're not Godzilla cats, but maybe one day. But we had them in the same room for like 10 minutes with nobody fighting.
Yeah, I saw you posted a video of them trying to do something with them.
They're like looking at each other now, where they're not like running. Well, my cat's the problem. Like she's not running away. She's like sizing her up and staring at her, and then she'll hiss and walk away. But we're making progress.
That's good.
Now, how do you know when there's progress?
She's not hissing or trying to fight her.
Okay.
Whereas
When she acknowledges her
was.
presence and then kind of turns
She'll
around and
look
walks
at
away.
her and like growl a little bit and be like, "Don't come in here."
That's what I do with Poundcake.
Yeah, I know. She
And
got
he
it from
doesn't
you.
come in here mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So it works.
He learned.
I would like a Godzilla cat. I think.
A giant Godzilla cat.
Does she make what? Does it
What the
lightning
poop,
that comes out
man.
of her mouth? Just like Godzilla breathes lightning, right?
Godzilla's
Yeah.
got like a laser rays all of a sudden. It used to breathe fire back in the day, but if you saw,
It was like a blue fire kind of
Yeah.
lightning because
It's
the
always
back
up into the
lights up.
sky.
Yeah,
but it's a
there's some-
radioactive beam, I
Yeah.
think. But isn't that a relatively modern
No, that
convention?
goes,
Does it really?
I think that goes back to some of the 80s
Okay.
Godzillas.
I know in the new ones, like the scales light up,
Yeah.
and then he gets a full head of steam, and then he's
I think some
mowing
of that's,
people down.
I think some of that's established canon over the years.
Okay,
I still need to watch Godzilla -1.
it's so good,
And
so good. Godzilla -1 director said that his cats inspired his version of Godzilla. When his wife watched the film, she said, "That's our cat." Despite the fact that if you've seen that movie,
Godzilla just walks past a building and knocks a cup of water off of it.
it's Godzilla on top of a bookcase,
Yeah.
and then trying to climb onto the curtain rod.
Godzilla gets the zoomies.
Yeah. Yeah, that
He's
movie got
running
Oscar nominated, I think, for
It
the
won an
effects or
Oscar.
whatever.
Won
Did it
an
win the
For
Oscar?
the best effects, yeah.
Yeah, because it's got this wild mix of it's set in the 50s, but the effects aren't super CGI like they do.
No, it's a lot of practical effects.
Yeah.
With the way you should do it, you do a lot of practical effects and then accent it with CGI so things look better.
Yeah, it's really good. Might even make you cry.
No.
I'll go that far.
That's like at the end of Godzilla 2000, where the final line is, maybe it's because there's a little Godzilla in all of us. Me and
I
my
didn't see
friends-
that one.
Oh, me and my friends saw that one.
The
in theaters.
Japanese one?
Yeah, it was the Japanese one. So they had just done the Matthew Broderick one, I think earlier that year,
Oh,
and then they
God.
released it, or maybe this was a year after that. But they released that one, and me and my friends saw it in the theater. And when we heard that last line, we were cheering like maniacs. We were also pretty much the only people in that theater.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says the end, and then question mark.
I remember seeing
Fantastic.
I remember seeing the Matthew Broderick Godzilla in the theater, and that was the one that had the Puff Daddy version
Yeah.
of Led Zeppelin,
Oh, that's the worst
and
song
it was
I've ever
just
heard.
Is it?
awful.
It's so bad.
It's like him
Come
and
with
Jimmy
me.
Page.
Because at one point, so, it's got the Led Zeppelin riff. That part's good. Puff Daddy rapping, not even the worst thing. But at some point, he does he sings, and it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's terrible.
If you can pull that up.
Well, it's uncensored. Yeah. I was trying to find an edit.
If you can, but if you can find just where he's falling and singing in the music video, it's just so cringy.
Where he's singing?
Yeah.
I don't know where the singing is.
If it's the music video version, I know it's when he's falling.
I don't see that one. Well, anyway, I know that it's unedited, and I don't want to dig into that, but it's just terrible, terrible, terrible.
It's a bad song.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys are just being a little judgy.
No, it's a bad song. I think.
I mean, we have the same judgment that just about everybody else did, so I'll absolutely cop to being judgy about it.
And it's also taking one of the greatest guitar riffs of all time and putting it in like a really cringy song.
And with Jimmy Page's,
Yeah.
not only his blessing, but his participation.
Right.
Because they were like, this movie is going to be massive. This is going to be the biggest hit of the year. And even though people kind of, shrimp all over it, it was a big movie.
Yeah.
Like, it made a lot of money.
Everybody, because it was the first time they had reimagined Godzilla and done like an American version of it.
Yeah.
So I was super excited for it and was sorely disappointed.
Well, because that was when they really started to spend a ton of money making movies. And so the trouble was, even though it made a lot of money, they were like, well, we didn't make our money back. Because they spent like $150 million on it because they were going to.
And then probably another $100 million on marketing.
Yeah.
Because there was so much marketing going on. And I don't think the toys took off the way they thought they were. I know there's a lot of collaborations with fast food and different things like that. And I don't know if they had a popcorn bucket you could have sex with, like Dune 2.
It had giant teeth in it. Hey, do you like the scales up and down your shaft? Grab the Godzilla popcorn bucket. I don't recall that. But that would have been a flex. I'm going to take a break. I'll have those Mammoth WVH tickets for you. Wolfie Van Halen is back on the road. Did a handful of spring dates. He set his summer dates, one of them being here in Cleveland. So he's going to do July 24th out at Northfield Park if you want to get